رمضان شهر رمضان شهر رمضان شهر رمضان
Ya Ramadan.
Oh Ramadan, how blessed are your days, saving me from my wrongful ways. Hungry throughout your days, I'll stay sincerely to my Lord, I'll pray. Oh Ramadan, how blessed are your days, saving me from my wrongful ways. Hungry throughout your days, I'll stay sincerely to my Lord, I'll pray.
Your presence lights up the dark night, darkness in which I see God's light.
Ya Ramadan, Ya Ramadan.
Seconds go by filled with God's praise. Show me to you, my Lord, the way.
Ya Ramadan, Ya Ramadan.
My Lord, close to you, take my soul. Your true love is my only end goal. Reaching God's light, reaching God's light. This month purifies my soul.
Oh Ramadan, how blessed are your days, saving me from my wrongful ways. Hungry throughout your days, I'll stay sincerely to my Lord, I'll pray. Oh Ramadan, how blessed are your days, saving me from my wrongful ways. Hungry throughout your days, I'll stay sincerely to my Lord, I'll pray.
In this month, God, I turn to you, shamed by what sins have done to me.
Ya Ramadan, Ya Ramadan.
Repenting for my state is bleak. Forgiveness from yourself I seek.
Ya Ramadan, Ya Ramadan.
But I have hope in your mercy to wretched servants like me. Hopeful I turn, remorse I yearn for you, my Lord, to pardon me.
Oh Ramadan, how blessed are your days, saving me from my wrongful ways. Hungry throughout your days, I'll stay sincerely to my Lord, I'll pray. Oh Ramadan, how blessed are your days, saving me from my wrongful ways. Hungry throughout your days, I'll stay sincerely to my Lord, I'll pray.
I remember I was younger, the adhan and the excitement for the iftar that my mum made was pure love at its finest. Used to run down to my plate, but my father had to stop me for a bit just to remind me this enlightenment. He said, remember, this hunger is here to make you stronger. Cause in life sometimes you fall down, but remember, you're more now. You are Shia to your Mawla. So if things weigh on your shoulder, remember what I taught ya. Just say Ya Ali Mawla. One of these nights, somebody's prayers gets answers if you call him. What I'll give now to go back to the old days, when I remembered you always and always. Ya Allah, I'm calling and pleading in your name. I swear upon my love for Hussein, I've lost my way, you need to show me. I need your love and your affection. Those sins withdraw down tribulation. Sins that hold back my supplication. Bless me with redemption. Bless me with redemption. I need your guidance and friendship. I wrong myself, I'm too audacious. I'm forgetful but you're gracious. Bless me with redemption. Forgive me. Forgive me. This one time was Ramadan in a hot day. We were waiting for iftar. I was thirsty and the sunset seemed so far. A small tear fell down my left eye. And the moment I saw him, I was mourning for his pain. I remembered the thirsty lips of Hussein, and his children were so hurt and bruising and sore. So remember, say, Ya Hussein, before you drink this water, call out your Mawla. Ya one of these nights, Hussein, my fate is decided, I know this. Ya Mahdi, I pray I'm on your list. Just need one moment to be noticed. Ya Allah, I pray you accept my excuses. I've been so sinful and so foolish. With your love I can get through this. I need your love and your affection. Those sins withdraw down tribulation. Sins that hold back my supplication. Bless me with redemption. Bless me with redemption. I need your guidance and friendship. I wrong myself, I'm too audacious. I'm forgetful but you're gracious. Bless me with redemption. Forgive me. Forgive me. These nights he's more alone than ever. He's praying for us, so we pray together. We left him alone and broke his heart. We praise and ask for forgiveness for us. He cries and mourns his father Ali. We'll mourn with you, Ya Mahdi. العجل العجل يا مولاي يا صاحب الزمان. العجل العجل يا مولاي يا صاحب الزمان. العجل العجل يا مولاي يا صاحب الزمان. Those sins withdraw down tribulation. Sins that hold back my supplication. Bless me with redemption. Bless me with redemption.
Humble to you I come, guilty for all I've done. I'm ashamed of what's become, how I've changed, how I've moved on. I'm not perfect, Lord, but I try to be, encompassed by society. Satan whispers, they surround me, yet I come knocking for your mercy. Oh, he whose name is a remedy, I ask with shame and sincerity. Lord, don't deprive me from your blessings, love and mercy. My Lord, I turn my face to you and extend both my hands out to you. One step from me and turn from you. Ya Jabbaru, Ya Ghaffaru, Anta Basirun Azim. Ya Rahmanu, Ya Karimu, Anta Sami'un Alim. Ya Jabbaru, Ya Ghaffaru, أنت بصير عظيم. يا رحمن يا كريم أنت سميع عليم. I know I've sinned endlessly, yet you forgive and favor me. I know you love, you care for me. So I ask by Muhammad and Ali, whilst I am strong and in my youth, that you keep me on the path of truth. Lend me your rope, let me hold on, for you're the hope that I lean on. اللهم اغفر كل جرم أجرمته، وكل ذنب أذنبته، وكل قبيح أسررته، وكل جهل عملته. يا ربي اغفر لي وارحمني يا رحيم. يا ربي اغفر لي وارحمني يا رحيم.
With more and more victims of war and poverty, the Middle East has seen a surge in patients seeking medical aid. Iraq alone has 2.4 million people without access to any form of medical assistance. In Afghanistan, due to the lack of funding and devastating conflict, the health service is at breaking point. Imam Hussein Charity aims to help provide a better future for these impoverished patients, aiding them with finances for their prescriptions as well as dialysis of their kidneys. You can help our brothers and sisters with purchases of prescriptions for just £20, and for £200 help a patient with a dialysis procedure. To donate or for more information, visit www.imamhusseincharity.com.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah wa barakatuh and Ramadan Kareem. The Imam Hussein Charity will be running its food basket campaign again this year, giving you the opportunity to help destitute and impoverished families throughout the whole of Iraq and Afghanistan. Each food basket contains essentials such as rice, flour, dried lemons, tea, fruits and vegetables, oil, tomato paste, dates, and much, much more. Each basket is £25 and can feed a family of 4 for up to 10 days. You can feed a family of 4 for the whole of Ramadan for only £75. You can donate via bank transfer, PayPal, or visit us at www.imamhusseincharity.com.
With more and more victims of war and poverty, the Middle East has seen a surge in patients seeking medical aid. Iraq alone has 2.4 million people without access to any form of medical assistance. In Afghanistan, due to the lack of funding and devastating conflict, the health service is at breaking point. Imam Hussein Charity aims to help provide a better future for these impoverished patients, aiding them with finances for their prescriptions as well as dialysis of their kidneys. You can help our brothers and sisters with purchases of prescriptions for just £20, and for £200 help a patient with a dialysis procedure. To donate or for more information, visit www.imamhusseincharity.com.
I think it's everyone's dream to work and serve the Ahlul Bayt alayhum salam.
Working with this project allows us to contribute back to the community.
Our main objective is to bring Imam Hussein to every household, or to take people to Karbala.
Producers, cameraman and editors all synchronize to capture, inspire and bring you closer to Abu Abdullah.
Working here is an honor and a privilege, yet nothing compared to the sacrifice of Imam Hussein alayhi salam.
Pass on the lantern of Imam Hussein.
Why should you support?
Why should you support?
Why should you support?
Imam Hussein TV is our Husseiniya to the world.
It's an open university to learn theology, history, law, Quran and many more sciences.
Many rely on our channel as they have no access to any Husseiniyyahs or any mosques.
And they have no access to any community events nor scholars, and they solely rely on our broadcasting.
Children in the West have so many questions to ask about the faith.
We aim to educate youth and reverts in a thoughtful manner and language which is interactive, easily digestible and understood.
Our project is fully crowdfunded. We have no sales, no business, no profits.
If you do not support us, who will?
If you do not open a channel, who will?
And if you do not raise the flag of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, who will?
We have been operating since 2016, and we have brought to you shows like Morning Barakah,
Ahkam SOS,
Her Thoughts,
and the debate show.
We also have created many documentaries on topics such as the death of the Prophet ﷺ,
Miracles in Arba'een,
non-Shias visiting Karbala,
And most importantly,
we bring you Karbala live.
Karbala Live.
Karbala live.
Karbala live.
لبيك يا حسين.
تهدمت والله يا ركاب.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh and Ramadan Kareem. The Imam Hussein charity will be running its food basket campaign again this year, giving you the opportunity to help destitute and impoverished families throughout the whole of Iraq and Afghanistan. Each food basket contains essentials such as rice, flour, dried lemons, tea, fruits and vegetables, oil, tomato paste, dates, and much, much more. Each basket is £25 and can feed a family of 4 for up to 10 days. You can feed a family of 4 for the whole of Ramadan for only £75. You can donate via bank transfer, PayPal, or visit us at www.imamhusseincharity.com.
We question our daily position, seeking answers and definitions. Get the queries off your chest with Ahkam SOS.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Ahkam SOS, the show that discusses Islamic duties and practices. Inshallah, it's a live show. We're going to be taking all of your questions in. So if you have any questions you'd like to ask, please send in your questions via the WhatsApp, the email address, ahkamsos@imamhussein.tv. Or you can call in if you'd like, 023 515 0199. Alternatively, if you're watching on Facebook Live or you're watching on YouTube, put your questions in the comment section and inshallah, we'll be able to answer your questions. I'm your host, Muslim Shia, and joining me is Sheikh Alima. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. How are you doing this evening? Sheikh, a lot of us tonight and tomorrow will be celebrating the birth of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, and we'd like to take this occasion and this opportunity to send our congratulations to the Imam of our time, Allah hasten his reappearance, and the Muslim Ummah on the celebration and on the birth of our second Imam, Imam Hassan alayhi salam, and Hassan al-Mujtaba. Sheikh, before we begin the show, is there anything you'd like to discuss about Imam Hassan alayhi salam?
الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. My tabrik and congratulations and tahani for this blessed evening, the eve of the birth of Imam Hassan salamullah alayhi, the Imam of Ahl Bayt alayhim salam, and one of the Ashab al-Kisa, and the Sayyid of Ahl al-Jannah. And the virtues of the Imam salamullah alayhi is, you can't really count them. The Imam alayhi salam Kareem, and the Jannah of Ahl Bayt alayhim salam. I have two hadiths with this regard.
So Sheikh, we're going to go to a short break and inshallah we'll continue after the break. We're having some technical difficulties, so we'll sort that out right now.
I have a question regarding keeping pictures of scholars at home.
Is it permissible to plant trees by or
Was
over
Islam
the
established
graves?
based on peace and
Is it
non-violence?
permissible to collect donations for charity projects from
Is it permitted to consume canned food imported from non-Muslim countries?
Is there an issue for men looking at non-Muslim women?
To have your questions answered live, call in on +44 2035 150199 or WhatsApp us on +44 7415 092155. Alternatively, you can also email us on ahkamsos@imamhussein.tv.
I have a question regarding keeping pictures of
Is it
scholars
permissible
at
to
home.
plant trees by or
Was
over
Islam
the graves?
established based on peace and
Is it
non-violence?
permissible to collect donations for charity projects from
Is it permitted to consume canned food imported from non-Muslim
Is there an
countries?
issue for men looking at non-Muslim women?
To have your questions answered live, call in on +44 2035 150199 or WhatsApp us on +44 7415 092155. Alternatively, you can also email us on Ahkam SOS at imamhussein.tv.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Ahkam SOS. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but everything has been sorted out and fixed. So inshallah we can continue with our show. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Sheikh, please a couple of words on Imam Hassan alayhi salam.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم ولعن أعداءهم. My tabrik and tahani for this blessed day, the eve of the wiladat of Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba salamullah alayh, Kareem Ahl Bayt alayhim as-salam jami'an. I have two hadiths to this regards from the books of Ahl Sunnah, very famous narrators and hadith books of non-Shias with regards to Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba salamullah alayh. The first hadith is in the book of Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya, Ibn Kathir. He narrates this hadith in his book with his chain of narrators بأسناده عن جابر بن عبد الله قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله من سره أن ينظر إلى سيد شباب أهل الجنة فلينظر إلى الحسن عليه السلام. If one wants to look, to be joyful, to look at the face of the one who is the master of the youth of the paradise, then look at the face of Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. Look at al-Hasan alayhi salam. This is how great the Imam is, that he is one of the Sayyid Shabab Ahl Jannah. Al-Hasan and Hussein salamullah alayhim are both.
Who narrated this? Ibn Kathir.
Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya Ibn Kathir.
Is this a Sunni reference?
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
So he narrates this hadith in his book. Another narrator of the hadith in Kanz al-Ummal, again a Sunni book, روى المتقي الهندي عن عائشة أن النبي صلى الله عليه وآله قال أو كان يأخذ حسنا فيضمه إليه. He used to embrace Imam al-Hasan in his arms and closely, and he used to say ثم يقول اللهم إن هذا ابني. Oh Allah, indeed he is my son. You can see from different narrations, even in our books, that the Prophet says ibni or ibnai.
Yeah.
Al-Hasan or Hussein ibnai. So he would mention them, they are both my sons. Or Al-Hasan is my son, not just grandson. Allahumma inna hadha ibni wa ana uhibbuhu. Oh Allah, he is my son and I love him. فأحبه. So you do love him as well. وأحب من يحبه. And love the one who loves Al-Hasan alayhi salam. Now the question is, how come with such a hadith in the Ahl Sunnah books about Imam al-Hasan being the Sayyid Shabab Ahl Jannah, the master of the youth of the heavens, and when it comes to the Khilafah, Imam al-Hasan was ignored, was rejected, was isolated from the Ummah of Islam, and the Khilafah eventually was given to Muawiyah, the so-called Khilafah. And then the Muawiyah turned the Khilafah to kingdom.
Yes.
And he gave it to his son Yazid, which eventually killed Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam.
Yes.
So that was the greatest misery which took place in and calamity in the time of Imam al-Hasan salamullah alayhi, in which he was eventually assassinated and killed by Muawiyah with a poison. And of course his son killed Imam Hussein salamullah alayhi. So the father and the son killed the two brothers who are Sayyida Shabab Ahl Jannah according to the Shia and the non-Shia hadith. So why this ignorance or neglectness or rejection of Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam to this extent that you would prioritize Muawiyah over the Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam? That's the sad thing about and we see today the results of Muawiyah taking the Khilafah, in this way, and taking over the leadership. Today Muslims are paying the price of dictators and unjust and tyrant leaders leading the Ummah nation today, with their kingdoms, with their princes, with their ministers and so forth. So that's why we say always we have to go back to Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, and we have to reject and denounce and move away from those who usurp the Khilafah from Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, from the rightly guided individuals in which the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam appointed them from Allah Azza wa Jal.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Sheikh. Just a quick reminder to all our viewers that this is a live show. We do taking your questions. If you have any questions you'd like to ask, please send them in via the WhatsApp, the email address. Give us a call or 203-515-0199. If you're watching on Facebook Live or you're watching on YouTube, put your questions in the comment section, and inshallah, I've got my iPad here. The technical team will be able to send me your questions and we'll be able to discuss and answer them. Sheikh, a couple of questions from yesterday. Inshallah, let's go through them. Assalamu alaikum. Is playing Ludo on my phone haram? Ludo, a very popular game in Pakistan. I'm sure a lot of Iraqis play it as well. Have you heard of Ludo? The board game.
Not really, but what ulama say that if that game is a gambling game, then the one cannot play with it, be it with on paper or, for example, on the screen and so forth. If it's gambling, it's not permissible. Otherwise, just normal games should be fine.
Well, there's another question here. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. Am I allowed to play the card game bridge in a tournament, not gambling? Bridge is a game played with cards.
I mean, again, if it's a gambling game, then it's not permissible.
Playing cards, king, queen, jack, ace.
Yeah, that's basically.
You're not allowed to play with them.
You can't play. I mean, you can't use this in anyhow. We have to be away from these games. These are gambling games.
From YouTube yesterday, Sheikhna, what is Sheikh Ayatollah Khurasani's opinion on music?
I think the Sheikh, I can't exactly remember his opinion. Yes, I think he would not allow the music, of course.
His nature is very strict.
I think,
that's his style.
Not forgetting, but yes, he wouldn't accept.
Question from a brother, looks like. Can I look at a girl whom I intend to marry in the future? I mean, can I look at her body in order to see if she is suitable for me or not? There is a probability that if I like her, I might marry her.
I mean, to look at the face and other parts, one should basically, if it's with the intention of marriage, and she's wearing, modest, let's say, for example, to an extent that you can look, you're allowed for the purpose of marriage to look to some extent, but not for, picking and mixing and trying to, well, I don't like this, I'm going to go to the next one. No, it has to be for the purpose of marriage. There's the intention of marriage, genuine intention. Then one can look with a limited, of course.
From Facebook, Sheikhna, Assalamu alaikum, brother. Can we read the R's at all the time? That is 12 in the afternoon, Zawal time. Can we read the R's at So's all time?
We had some ad'iyah, such as the Salawat al-Sha'baniyah, which is mentioned that to be recited by the Zawal time. In which we recite the salawat in the month of Sha'ban, in the time of the zawal, in the time of the adhan al-dhuhr. I think it's known as Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala shajarat al-nubuwwah wa mawdu' al-risala. That kind of dua is being recited in that time. Other ad'iyah, it's up to you if you want to recite in that time. But if the dua has specific time, such as dua kumail, of course, you have to recite it in the eve of the Friday, later Jum'ah, for example. Dua nudbah in the morning of Jum'ah, and so forth.
Fair enough. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. If you decide to travel during Ramadan to make the intention to reside in the city for 10 days, can you leave the city and return during the same day? For example, leave before Dhuhr prayer and return after Isha prayer. Thank you. Sheikhna, 10 days, you can't fast. So let's say if I was to go to Najaf in Ramadan for 10 days, I shouldn't be fasting. And then if I took 1 day to go to Karbala and come back, is that okay?
That would be, of course, as a musafir and a traveler, in which she needs to break her, fast, and as well as pray qasr as well. because now they are travelers. Even if you go to Najaf or Karbala for 25 days, let's say,
Mhm.
30 days, if you don't make intention of 10 days staying in that city without going to anywhere else, outside the place, then of course you will be musafir. Then you have to basically break your fast and as well pray qasr in this case, unless you make that 10 days intention in that city.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Some women and men tend to get to know each other for a couple of months to a year, for example, seeing someone from the community and messaging one another to get to know each other, inshallah for marriage. They might go out for dinner without touching. Is this fine? If not, then how should couples before marriage get to know each other? So, what we call in English courting, where a male and a female get to know one another, sometimes under adult supervision, sometimes not, chaperoning and so forth. Can they go out for dinner and spend time together? No touching or this or that, but just to spend time and get to know one another for marriage purposes.
You see, if it's like 1 or 2 sessions in the house of the family, the parents are there, they want to talk, for example, pre-marriage issues, should be fine with the presence of the family, let's say, and somehow. But if they want to be alone and go out, and things will happen eventually. I think the best solution that many people would do today is to do the nikah contract, the short term, to know each other. Let's say for 6 months, 3 months, 1 month, I don't know how much. Do that temporary nikah contract, and then after the end of the duration, if they're happy with it, then of course they go and do the long-term and permanent nikah contract if they're happy to go. Otherwise, such relationships, although it's for marriage, it's a bit problematic in somehow. They go out, there's a banter, breaking jokes, and these I would cause haram eventually if one tries to go to this extent. Although there's no touching, sometimes a joke or something that would cause some kind of. So the best thing is to do it in a halal way. The short-term contract with the permission of the father, if she's a virgin, for example. That should sort out the problem, inshallah.
Inshallah, ahsant. More questions coming in, Sheikh. Now, if you'd like to send in a question, please send us it via the WhatsApp, the email address. Give us a call, 0235150199. Mashallah, last couple of episodes, we've had a lot of phone calls. Or if you're watching on Facebook Live or you're watching on YouTube, put your questions in the comment section. But I'm getting loads here right now. Is the recitation of Adhan and Iqamah for daily prayers and other prayers compulsory?
Not wajib and compulsory, but mustahab. But if you start the Adhan, you have to start with Adhan first and then Iqamah, and not the opposite. So you have to follow the sequence. But in order, they're both mustahab, encouraged.
Sheikhna, assalamu alaikum. Is it permissible for a wife to dance for her husband without music? I'm assuming this is in private, this is not in public spaces.
Yes, this is one of the exceptions that ulama mention about dancing, because what they mention that it is not permissible, it's forbidden for a woman to dance in a woman gathering, or a man in a men's gathering, let's say wedding. Dancing allowed only, as the question is mentioned, the husband for the wife or the opposite. That's allowed only.
I see. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. If I am reciting the Quran and I take a 1-minute phone call in between, would I need to read Bismillah again before reciting the Quran after the phone call?
Yeah, why not? Bismillah to start everything you have. It should be fine. To resume something should be fine, yeah. Even when we eat the food, if you start in the middle of the food, you say Bismillah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim ala awwalihi wa akhirih, from the beginning to the end, for example.
Inshallah. Sheikhna, is it permissible to deposit money with national banks? In other words, loaning the banks?
To deposit, there should be no problem with it. You can deposit, yeah. Why not?
Fair enough. From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. What is the ruling of having instruments like flutes and drums in the background of latmiyat according to His Eminence, the Grand Ayatollah Sayyid Sadiq Shirazi, Hafidhullah?
They're all forbidden. You can't have music played, according to Samah Sayyid, in anyhow. All types of music are haram. not permissible. Classical, non-classical. Especially when it comes to the nasheed, manqabat, latmiyat, one should avoid, even if his marja' says these are permissible, one should avoid playing such classical music in the religious rituals.
What about, we have the drums and the trumpet and so forth, especially when we do tatbir and things like that?
Yeah, these drums and trumpets are war trumpets and drums, which are exceptions and different than the music ones. Exactly, to call for the war, for example, which are allowed, which even Abdullah Sadiq Shirazi Hafidhahullah would say these are allowed, and these are fine, but you have to differentiate between this drum and that drum, musical drum, for example.
Another question here. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. There is a mosque which is going to be destroyed by municipality. I'm not sure what that means. Municipality due to traffic congestion. So there will be no mosque there in the future. What are we supposed to do with the mosque's furniture, equipment, tools and appliances and building materials?
You have to go back to the trustees. They will be in charge in terms of what to do with these. The trustees, they are actually have the authority, or the in terms of what to do with these. Let's say sell them and buy with them for, let's say, for the next coming mosque, inshallah, in future, furniture and so forth. It's to do with the trustees. They're responsible.
Interesting question, Sheikhna. What are the necessary qualifications of a female prayer leader? A female to lead the Jama'ah. Can female lead other females in Jama'ah?
Yes, why not?
And what are the qualifications for them? As in, do they have to be adil?
It seems to be similar, yeah. I don't think it should be different. It should be similar with the male qualifications. To be just adil and so forth.
Can she lead the males as well?
No, only females.
Okay, just the females. Yes. Only female Jama'ah she can lead. Ahsant. Can I pay my khums to a wakil of a marja who I do not follow? So if I follow Mathalan, His Eminence Sadiq Shirazi, can I give my khums to a representative of Sayyid Sistani perhaps?
Best thing to ask the office of the marja' of the one you follow to see if they allow it.
Fair enough. Is it permissible to eat lobster, crayfish and snails?
No, it's not permissible. These types of, is it fish?
Yeah, sea creatures.
Yeah, the only type of fishes allowed are the ones with scales, and the prawns as well as the exception.
Assalamu alaikum. Is it permissible for a boy who is not baligh, like 11 or 12 years old, to have a girlfriend?
You see, we have to nurture and educate our kids with what pleases Allah Azza wa Jal. Because eventually, if you allow this child to have such a relationship, then of course, in adulthood, he would continue the same path, the same route. If you bring your child to the majalis and the Husainiyat and Imam Bargas, he would be one of those who attend these centers. If you take him to the, God forbid, to the nightclubs or the bars, he would eventually get used to be in those places.
Yeah.
So we have to educate our kids to be in the right place, in the right location, with the right and righteous conduct and behaviors, inshallah.
Inshallah. So what is the ruling of having a credit card with points or cash back rewards? Is it halal to spend those points or cash back on yourself? That's from YouTube.
I'm not sure how the process of these cashbacks
So basically, when you get a credit card, as you know, a credit card works is that you spend someone else's money and then you have to pay them back. But when you spend, they reward you with that spending. So they might give you extra points, which you can claim a holiday or hotel and travel, or you can claim other items as well from it. Is that halal? Is that okay?
You see, what is important when it comes to credit cards is that you don't pay interest on these payments unless you're compelled.
Yeah.
In other words, you can't use your credit card unless you're compelled to do so. Otherwise, you can't use it. You have to use your debit card, which is from your own account, or cash, and so forth. So these interest payment cards, you have to basically use them if you're in desperate need, compelled. Otherwise, you can't use them. I mean, rewards should be fine. I mean, gift rewards should be fine.
Channel from YouTube. Assalamu alaikum. Is there music in the background during the live show now? And is it halal or haram? So right now, Sheikhna, our heart is being played.
Yes.
And some people are assuming that it's music. Is it, first of all, our heart? Can you explain to the viewers what our heart is and whether it is halal or haram?
Yeah, these are vocals in which somebody would, recite them or somehow read them out through the mouth and the throat, for example, which is fine as long as it's not very similar to the music itself. Some people have talent of playing with their vocals in a way that's like exactly music, in which Atullah Shirazi would say this is not allowed. Yeah. But it's just a normal ahat, some vocals and so forth should be fine as a substitute to the music, the classical music, for those who consider it as haram.
Fair enough. From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum. Why was Karbala not mentioned in the Quran if the Prophet Muhammad knew about it before it had happened and Allah knew?
You see, the Holy Quran is the book of guidance, and in overall, if it was supposed to be a book of history of foretellings, then it's going to be like today's Bible, six stacks of books. Imagine, in which they came afterwards and they've added Matthew, Paul, I don't know, whoever, John, whoever comes after the first Bible was brought. So we're going to end up having volumes of Quran in this situation. So Allah wanted Azza wa Jalla to keep it simple as it is, kitabun mubin, very clear, in Arabic language. And of course you have to go back to the Sunnah or the Hadith, in which you'll get the details from those sources. As the Holy Prophet ﷺ, this is a mutawatir hadith in the books of Shia and Ahl Sunnah as well, that I leave two weighty and necessary things: Kitabullah, I leave my the Kitabullah, the Quran, and Itrati Ahl Bayti, the progeny, my family. So you have to go back to Holy Quran, yes, and then to understand the Holy Quran verses, the tafsir, the meanings, you go back to the hadith of the Prophet and his pure family. Sallallahu alayhi majma'in.
From YouTube, Assalamu alaikum Sheikhna. Can we fast at the Sunni times? Does this make our fast batil? I'm assuming they're talking about Fajr Adhan and also Maghrib Adhan.
Fajr Adhan, I think we're very similar to the timings. We don't have any problem with the Fajr Adhan with the other sects in overall. But the problem is with the Maghrib Adhan. The Maghrib Adhan, they consider it by the fall of the sun, or Suqut al-Qurs, as they say, by the sunset. You can straight away break your fast. But we have no, it has to be 15 to 20 minutes after the sunset, when you see the redness on top of the sky. Yeah. In this case, in that time you can break your fast. That's the difference. So you can't break your fast with their time. You have to break it with the Shari time.
From WhatsApp, Assalamu alaikum Sheikhna. If you are fasting and become very ill while fasting, is it a valid excuse to break the fast?
What is mentioned in the books of the Risala Amaliyah, that it has to be an extreme, severe illness where you can't bear, then you can break it. And of course you become a marid in this case, and then of course there's a qada as well. I
guess in really extreme circumstances where you need to actually take medicine is when you probably break it, or if you're experiencing great fatigue. More questions coming in. From YouTube, this is a really good one actually. Assalamu alaikum Sheikhna. Is Al-Kafi 100% Sahih? Do we even have the concept of Sahih and so forth in Hadith literature?
You see, in terms of Sahih that the Ahl Sunnah have, we don't have such a Sahih. The only book we have Sahih 100% is Kitabullah Azza wa Jal, Quran al-Karim. The rest of the books are under the scrutiny, the research of the ulama, in terms of the chain of the narrators, in terms of the context of the hadith, for example, itself. So yes, these books are basically there in order to be researched by the ulama to find out. Of course, with the Kafi, there are different opinions. Some would say this is, the hadith are authentic in this book. They call it even Al-Kafi Sharif to this extent. Some would say no, there might be something weak and so forth. So it's to do with the ulama's research and the expertise in this field.
Assalamu alaikum. What is the ruling about someone who does not fast intentionally or breaks his fast deliberately?
Of course, the one will have to basically make up that day again and pay kafara as well for intentionally breaking the fast.
Sheikh, if a person gives me a gift from which he has not paid khums, is it necessary for me to pay khums on it?
I mean, if you're 100% sure, that's the issue. Otherwise, the gift, if you keep it, let's say at home, and you don't use it after a year, and your khums day arrives, of course you have to pay khums on it because you haven't used it.
Yes.
So it becomes a surplus in excess, in which khums should be paid on.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Is it permissible for Muslims to cook and sell food during fasting time because they are working as chefs or open restaurants, etc., for a living and food deliveries? Thank you so much.
So they're cooking?
And delivering food. Cook and sell food during fasting times because they are working as chefs or open restaurants, for example, for a living, and food delivery. Let's do both. If I own a restaurant, Sheikh, and it's Ramadan, am I allowed to have my restaurant open during Ramadan hours?
And serving food as well?
And serve food. Serving people in my restaurant to eat, and what about deliveries as well?
You see, Ayatollah Sistani mentions in his question and answers that to serve non-Muslims should be no problem with it, non-Muslims. But to serve the Muslims is problematic. And even Ayatollah Shirazi as well would say you can't serve I think even non-Muslims. But in overall, it depends who are your customers. Are they Muslims or non-Muslims? And it depends which marja you follow again. So some would say, absolutely you can't serve the food to anyone. But as I've said, Ayatollah Sistani would say that you can serve it to the non-Muslims, but not the Muslims.
I see. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Some people recite Quran and Dua on the tune of some songs. Is this permissible?
As I've said, this is not correct because we shouldn't put music with the recitations of Holy Quran or the manqabat or latmiyat or noha. This is not right. Imagine that you are playing this music, let's say in Quran, in the latmiyah, in the nasheed, in the manqabat, in the noha, and you have Imam al-Zaman Salamullah alayhi wa ajal al-Farj Sharif, he's attending that majlis. Would he leave or would he stay listening?
True.
Always remember this, that if my Imam is here, would he remains and listens to this music?
Fair. From YouTube, Sheikhna, how do you pronounce salawat? Or how do you say the salawat, I guess, with the correct pronunciation? If you could do it slowly for the viewers so they can get across of it.
The salawat on Ahl Bayt alayhi salam. Yeah. You just say Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So I think that's simple.
Ahsan. And what does it mean when we say salawat? And we say it a lot as Shia Muslims in our dua, in our prayers, even when we're doing housework and stuff, people will be reciting salawat. What does it
send
mean?
blessings on Muhammad and his family. So
Ahsan. Sheikh from YouTube as well. If someone becomes unconscious after dhuhr, can they eat?
You see, some of the situations of somebody, let's say, his fast becomes batil. In some cases, you can't eat. You have to refrain from eating and drinking until the Maghrib time, and then you have to make up that day later. I'm not sure about this mas'ala, but in overall, in some cases, you have to be careful that you let's say now my fast is broken, now I can eat, and no, you can't. In some cases, you can't eat and drink. You have to wait till Maghrib time. Although your fast is void now, it's batil, but in some cases you can't continue eating and drinking because in this situation you have to keep refraining from eating and drinking till Maghrib time. So it depends on the mas'ala.
Sheikhna, is it permissible for a female to ride a horse? I don't understand why they can't, but okay.
The problem is if it's in front of the man, if she's wearing, let's say, a modest hijab, white hijab, then of course, if nothing is shown from her body, because the body curves would be shown when you are on the bike or on the horse, for example, and you're wearing trousers, for example, the back, all these curves would be in somehow shown, and that's a problem in terms of the riding these things without proper hijab, for example. But in anyhow, if they can find a place isolated from the men's view, and they can, of course, enjoy horse riding between themselves in anyhow.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Now, we usually receive wedding invitation gifts or wedding invitation cards which have "in the name of Allah" written on them. Can we dispose of them in a recycling bin?
Yes, if it's supposed to go to the paper recycling, that should be fine. Make sure it's not with the bottles of the alcohol and so forth. It's just to be separate in the paper recycling.
I see. Sheikh, I'm trying to grab the verse here as well. In verse 195 of Surah Baqarah, it is mentioned about giving gifts during pilgrimage. What is the meaning of the verse? Can you please elaborate, Sheikh?
I think we have to see the verse itself.
Should I grab it for you right
Inshallah.
now? I've got it here. There you go, Sheikh. I'll let you do the honors as you are the native Arab speaker, not myself.
So this is
Surah Baqarah, verse
195, yes?
Yes.
وأنفقوا في سبيل الله ولا تلقوا بأيديكم إلى التهلكة وأحسن إن الله يحب المحسنين. So it's just saying that, spend in the cause of Allah, in the way of Allah.
So the question was from WhatsApp. In verse 195 Surah Baqarah, it is mentioned about giving gifts during pilgrimage. What is the meaning of the verse? Can you please elaborate, Sheikh?
In terms of the tafsir of course we have to look at the tafsir if there's any connection with Hajj, because does this ayah means that in Hajj anfiqu? Because sometimes you have an ayah in the middle of the let's say hukum shar'i or worship suddenly comes inside, and then it's like the ayat of Ahlul Bayt, إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم رجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا, which is inside the verses of the women of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Nisa an-Nabi. So I'm not sure if it's to do with the Hajj, but it's talking about infaq in the cause of Allah Azza wa Jal, and do not throw yourself into any dangers and so forth, halak, killing and so forth, suicide and so forth, and be good. Allah loves the one who is good with others. So basically is the ayah. As I've said, for more details we have to look at the tafsir of this verse.
Thank you very much, Sheikh. Next question. What is Jabira, or where is Jabira applicable? I mean, how can one make sure that he must perform the Jabira instead of washing a sore or a fractured bone? Jabira is normally when there is a covering, isn't it, Sheikh, on the body part which needs to be wiped or washed during wudu. Could be your finger, your arm, could be your foot, maybe even your face, a plaster or so forth.
Exactly.
So how do you apply Jabira on wudu?
Yeah, if there's a wound or there's a blood, and you have to cover it because the blood continues to come out, for example, or there's a fractured bone, for example, and you have to use the bandage. Now we have to basically do the wudu, normal wudu, but when it comes to that plaster or the bandage, you just have to gently wipe on that area and move on and carry on with your wudu. So that's known as wudu al-Jabira.
Ahsan. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. If someone sins in front of us, are we allowed to judge it publicly if they don't listen to the guidance we give them?
Anyhow, one should try his best with these individuals, that you try to guide them as much as you can. As I've said, if they are stubborn and insist on their sins, you just have to ignore them and leave them. Don't waste time with them. Likewise with those who are against Ahlul Bayt or the Shia of Ahlul Bayt, I would say, even if they insist on their beliefs and aqeedah and praise the enemies of Ahlul Bayt, ignore them, leave them. Don't waste the time with them. But many people would, come forward, and inshallah guidance would be there, available inshallah to them.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. I work at an exchange office, but they also make me sell lottery. Is it permitted to sell lottery in this case?
You see, we have the haram lottery, which is the gambling lottery, in which, of course, this is haram. You can't basically buy this lottery or sell it. It's haram to sell or buy these items. But we have the national lottery, which is part of this goes to the charities, building hospitals. That type of lottery, the one can actually get involved in and buy and use, in which part of it goes to the charities and hospitals and schools and so forth, which some ulama would allow it. So it depends really which type of lottery is it.
Fair enough. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhana. I have an illness where you constantly have to drink water to stop chronic acid attack and chest pain. Do you pay fidya in this case?
I think we had the message of the thirstful, the one who needs to drink water every, let's say, half an hour or 1 hour time. I can't remember if there's a fidya for it, but there should be something mentioned. I mentioned this a couple of days ago. I can't remember the mas'ala.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. I prayed with my work clothes at home. These clothes are meant to be worn at the workplace. Is my prayer still accepted?
You know, sometimes you have some kind of agreement with the company or with the boss, for example, that you can actually wear them if you're outside. They would allow you. It depends on how you have made your I don't know, in contract or verbally, for example, how they've consented to you that you can use them outside. You know, for example, I have a company car. Can I go and do shopping with it for myself? It's a company car. So sometimes they would be lenient, you know, they would be easy in terms of, yes, you can use it for your shopping, that's fine. Just bring it back to the company, for example. So it depends how you have dealt the issue with the owners of the company themselves.
I think we've got time for one more question, Sheikh. So I'm going to try and find the most important one. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikhna. What is the best book for a beginner to learn principles of fiqh, preferably in Arabic? Usul al-fiqh.
The best book for the beginners, no, I think they have to start with the Risala Amaliyah of the marja' they follow.
Yeah.
So I think Manhaj al-Salihin for, I think one of the ulama, they have.
What is it asking for? Usul, principles of fiqh, usul al-fiqh.
Usul al-fiqh. You see, Usul al-Mudaffar is a bit deep in terms of the knowledge. So you have to go to one stage before Usul al-Mudaffar. You have to find, I think Abdul Hadi al-Fadli, he's got Usul, I think Abdul Hadi al-Fadli is a small pamphlet. I've studied this book in my beginning of my studies. Usul, he's got Usul book. And Mujaz fil Usul, I think, I don't know who, I can't remember the author as well.
Oh,
so you usually find these pamphlets of for the Usul would be a good start. But for the Ahkam, I mean, even the houses, they would start with the Risala Amaliyah of the Marja', you follow. This is how it is. And then you go to Shara'i al-Islam, and then you go to, after Shara'i al-Islam, you go to, for example, Tabsara Muta'allimin, and then you go to the Lum'at Dimashqiyya, and then you go to the other book by Ayatollah Yazdi, in which the ulama would do commentary. Most of the ulama have did commentary on Ayatollah Yazdi. I think Urwa al-Wuthqa by Ayatollah Yazdi as well. Very good book to study as well.
So a nice long journey in fiqh.
Indeed.
Where it starts with the Risala Amaliyah, inshallah.
Indeed.
Sheikh, any final thoughts before we end the program?
Tonight is the night of the Imam Hassan's birth, so we try, inshallah, to engage and get involved, and if we can attend the majalis of the Khushhali and Farah, we try our best, inshallah, to please Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam.
Inshallah. Thank you very much, Sheikh. And thank you to the viewers for joining us on this episode of Ahkam SOS. If we didn't answer your question, I do apologize. We had a lot of questions there today, but those questions will be rolled over to tomorrow, inshallah. We'll be back here at 5:10 London time on Imam Hussein TV3, Sky Channel 789. See you guys then. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
We question our daily position, seeking answers and definitions. Gather queries of your chest with Ahkam SOS.
I think it's everyone's dream to work and serve the Ahlul Bayt alayhum salam.
Working with this project allows us to contribute back to the community.
Our main objective is to bring Imam Hussein to every household, or to take people to Karbala.
Producers, cameraman and editors all synchronize to capture, inspire and bring you closer to Abu Abdullah.
Working here is an honor and a privilege, yet nothing compared to the sacrifice of Imam Hussein alayhi salam.
Pass on the lantern of Imam Hussein.
Why should you support?
Why should you support?
Why should you support?
Imam Hussein TV is our Husseiniya to the world.
It's an open university to learn theology, history, law, Quran and many more sciences.
Many rely on our channel as they have no access to any Husseinias or any mosques.
And they have no access to any community events nor scholars, and they solely rely on our broadcasting.
Children in the West have so many questions to ask about the faith.
We aim to educate youth and reverts in a thoughtful manner and language which is interactive, easily digestible and understood.
Our project is fully crowdfunded. We have no sales, no business, no profits.
If you do not support us, who will?
If you do not open a channel, who will?
And if you do not raise the flag of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, who will?
We have been operating since 2016 and we have brought to you shows like Morning Barakah,
Ahkam SOS,
Her Thoughts
and the debate show.
We also have created many documentaries on topics such as the death of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam,
miracles in Arba'een,
non-Shias visiting Karbala,
And most importantly,
we bring you Karbala live.
Karbala live.
Karbala live.
Karbala live.
Labbayka ya Hussein.
شهر رمضان شهر رمضان شهر رمضان شهر رمضان
Ya Ramadan.
Oh Ramadan, how blessed are your days, saving me from my wrongful ways, hungry throughout your